I hold in my hand two items. One is a fake dollar, and the other is a chocolate gold coin. This is an exercise I'm going to be doing with 12th grade economics students to illustrate what can be done with fiat currency, that is paper money, when it's not tied to a commodity. Now, a lot of people, a commodity meaning like gold or something like that, it doesn't have to be gold. But what I'm challenging is the idea of a monopoly of any kind on the production of money. Because here's the difference. Now, I have to use a chocolate coin because if I use just a plastic coin that looks gold, it doesn't have the same value because the chocolate will have some type of usually intrinsic value to someone, whereas the paper doesn't. Now, the paper money can be fine, although there's a lot of mischief that goes along with the having of paper money, as long as the paper money equals the commodity. Now, this doesn't have to be gold. There can be totally a separation between money and a commodity or some other notion, as long as money has those some 7 characteristics that I talk about in other places. It has to be recognizable. It has to be divisible. It has to be scarce. It has to have all these other things in it that make money money. Okay, so what if you have one person has this and the other person has this? This will still maintain value. The chocolate is still chocolate, regardless of what powers and banks or governments do to the paper money. The chocolate will still maintain its value. It will, the price of it may go up and down based on scarcity, based on supply and demand, but it will still maintain an intrinsic value that cannot be stolen unless it is physically confiscated. Paper money, on the other hand, as I'm going to demonstrate for my students, I'm going to offer them the chance to hold on to this or exchange for paper currency. It's supposed to have a 1-to-1 ratio, wherein this represents this. But let's say you have a bunch of these sitting in a bank account. You have paper money sitting in a bank account. And I, as a bank, or even more so as a government, which has a monopoly on the printing of money, which otherwise would be counterfeit, start printing. I have not added any more value to the economy. I have not added any more labor or resources to the economy. I have artificially only added more money to the economy, which means that if I double the amount of paper money that's in the economy, all that I've done is take away from the value of the money. So if you have $2 sitting in a bank account and I print $4, I've just taken away half your money because I have now taken away the value of the buying power of half that money through inflation. The prices will rise in accordance with the printing of the money. And then there is what is called a negative distribution effect, meaning people who get the newly printed money first or earliest are the ones who get the benefit of using the money before the prices go up, while people still think the money is as valuable as it is. It's a form of theft. It's a form of taking of savings. There is no reserve which cannot be touched with paper money, because more of it can just be printed and half or more of the value of it can be taken out without ever entering the bank account. When it has a commodity, on the other hand, this, no matter how much you print of this, you still have one chocolate coin. And so this not only makes a difference for economics, but ethically, morally, and even constitutionally, this makes a difference, because if you want to have a limited government, a government cannot have monopoly power in a central bank or whatever means it does it. It cannot have monopoly power over the ability to print money and then declare that money as the only legal tender and standard that can be accepted in most cases. I know there's some, uses of other things, but for the most part, there is a monopoly money. And the reality is that allows for the printing of money. It distorts the economy, allows for ridiculous government spending. It allows for tremendous debt. It encourages personal debt. It causes people to make assumptions that are wrong because they are being sent signals that cause them to malinvest in the economy. And it causes civilizations literally in history to fall apart. And so the difference between paper money and commodity money or sound money is a difference that is one not only of economics, but of ethics and a free society. That societies who go through this process of allowing the continued printing of money by banks or by governments or by them working together eventually fall into a process of economic and moral collapse. And so this has happened to many countries in the world. Let me finish with this. The Confederates had their money. Digging up Confederate money now, that money would have no buying power, wouldn't even really be considered money. If this dollar is buried in the ground for 100 years, is it going to gain, maintain, or lose value? On the other hand, gold found in the ground or other precious metals or other commodities found thousands of years later still maintains a value that is recognized today and that cannot be tampered with by those in power. And so this is something that's very important to learn in the distinction between fiat money and commodity money, and that money ought to be sound for the sake of ethics, for the sake of good economics and human prosperity, but also for the sake of liberty and freedom in a society and a limited government in general.